Mark, President Mark, are you on? Would you like to, at this
Yes,
time?
I'm on. Good evening, everyone. I thank you for hosting us this evening, and we are looking forward to a very interesting topic and topical conversation. Thank you again, President.
Thank you. So we'll move straight into the introduction of our members, and we'll call on P.E. Newton to do that for us. P.E., are you on at this time? I didn't remember seeing you earlier. P.E. Newton?
He's not on.
If we could ask LGD Desmond to do the welcome.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome all. Let me start with clubs, but first of all, let me just welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Brown. Nice to have you, sir. And let me welcome all our distinguished Kiwanians. I see DLG Gertlin. I see DLG Eileen, DLG Joe, and the past district trustee Ralston, DLG Willie. I'm not seeing others, but you can help me out if I'm missing others who are here. And let me welcome everyone. Or I'll start with clubs that are visiting from outside of Jamaica. No? Okay. Let me go to Division 25.
Hi, LGD. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for starting for me, LGD, but I know you always have a whole lot of other stuff. So if you want, I can take over from here. Thank you.
Very much so. You may take over, President-elect Newton. Go ahead, sir.
Much appreciated, sir. So first person I have to thank really is LGD Desmond Bachelor for being here on time for me this evening, and I will just continue from where he was. Any clubs in Division 25 with us?
Good evening, this is Chair Ingrid from the Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay. I'm the only one on right now, but I know that others will be joining soon, and looking forward to a wonderful meeting with you guys.
Okay, great to have you joining us from all the way in Montego Bay, and I'm pretty sure your colleagues will be here soon.
Yes.
Hope you have a wonderful evening with us.
Thank you.
And I'm back on now, but you can continue.
Okay.
Good
Any other
evening,
club?
President.
Hi, DLG Joe.
This is DLG Joe from the Kiwanis Club of Hopewell. I have not seen anybody else yet, but I'm certain others will be here a little later on. Wish for you a very successful meeting and a successful year. Thank you.
Thank you, DLG Joe. And we all know that when you're on, it's like 10, it's like a posse of 10. So thank you for joining us, sir. Hope you will have a wonderful evening with us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay. Anyone else from Division 25? Okay, how about Division 24? Anyone join us from Division 24? No? And you notice I am deliberately going slow because I don't want DLG Gertlin to say that I'm pressing hard on the gas. Hi, DLG Gertlin, glad to see you're on. Anyone else from Division 24? You're muted. Okay, how about Division 23 East?
Good evening, PE.
Good evening, sir.
This is DP Afis from Kiwanis Club of Downtown Kingston.
Okay.
So far, so good. I'm the only one. Others are coming. I've rigged them up. They will be joining very soon. I'm looking forward to exciting meeting tonight.
Well, I tell you something. The way you have greeted us has already made it very exciting.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for joining.
I thought he was from Mandeville.
Yes. DT Randstad.
Really glad to have you. Welcome. All right. Any club from 23 East? Okay, what about Division 23 West?
Good evening, DLG. No, this
Good
good
evening.
evening. This is Ryan from Kiwanis Club of Greater Portmore. One in attendance at this moment. The rest will be on soon.
Okay, really happy to have you this evening. I hope you'll have a wonderful evening with us.
All right.
Okay, any other club from 23 West? Okay, so what about Division 23 Central? Do we have any friends from Division 23 Central? '23 Central?
Hello, good evening, DP. I'm PD Ralston. How are you?
Hey, we are good. I'll answer for PDT Ralston because you hear that he's in good form.
You see, my voice came back, so I'm kind of what you call it now, unfocused.
That's all right. PDT Ralston is a good person, so I don't mind being mistaken for him.
Yes. PD Newton, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
At this time, I have, let me see, 3 visiting with you from 23 Central Surrey Online, to include LGD Desmond. So thank you so much for the invite, and we look forward to this informative meeting. Thank you.
Okay, great. And as usual, it's an open invitation. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else from Division 23 Central? Anyone else from Division 23 Central? Okay, are there any of our SLPs online? Any SLP? Or what about guests of Kiwanian? Someone who was invited by a Kiwanian. Anyone who was invited by a Kiwanian online with us right now? Okay, no guests of Kiwanians. So what about someone who was not invited by a Kiwanian? They're not a Kiwanian, but they're sharing with us this evening. Anyone? Okay, so we seem to have gone through the roundup for this evening. So it's back to you, President Junior. I hope everyone will have a wonderful evening, and just enjoy. And remember, we meet here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Back to you, President Junior.
Thank you, P. Newton. We'll now move to apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence at this time? Any apologies for absence at this time?
Apologies for absence from Director Warren McDonald.
Yes.
And for Treasurer Orville Lewis.
Okay.
And Director David Howell.
Director David Howell as well. Yes.
That's correct. Good.
Any other? If not, we'll move to our recognition of birthdays and anniversary. VP, are you on? I thought I saw you on earlier, yes.
I'm here, President.
Yes.
I'm not sure if my video is working.
You are on now.
Okay, good. Good evening, guests, fellow Kiwanians. At this juncture of our meeting, we usually recognize birthdays for the week for Kiwanians. And we have quite a few Kiwanians who are celebrating this week. So first of all, PDT Ralston Nunes celebrates his birthday on March 4th, my good friend. So happy birthday when that comes. Also on March 4th is Kiwanian Garth Wright, who celebrates on the 4th. So we have two Kiwanians on that day. Kiwanian Windsor Sawyer celebrates his birthday on the 28th of February, as well as PD Dalma James, also on the 28th. So happy birthday to them. Today is their birthday. And fun fact, if you're born on the 29th on a leap year, you only celebrate your birthday every 2 years. So you age much slower than everybody else. But big birthday to those two Kiwanians. And if there's any guests or Kiwanians from CyberConnect who are also celebrating a birthday this week, we'd be happy to, can you share that birthday with us so we can also celebrate it with you? They're celebrating a birthday, anniversary, graduation, birth. If not, I'll hand it back to President Junior, and I'm not sure if CyberConnect also has birthdays.
I don't know why.
Thank you for your good wishes, Stephen.
Stephen, I'm not sure why I thought it was every 4 years you get to celebrate.
4 years.
It is.
If you're on the 29th.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, you might be right there. My sister-in-law, in fact, is born there. So what we do is celebrate part of her birthday on the 28th and the other part on March 1st. So she has two birthdays. To capture the 29th.
Okay.
That's it, President. Back to you.
Thank you, VP Stephen. We are going to be allowing the Kiwanis Club of CyberConnect at this time to do their recognition of birthdays and anniversary at this time, if there's any. President Mark, are you on?
Yes, we are. We have no birthdays for March, unfortunately.
No?
No celebrations at this time.
Okay. So we therefore move on to Kiwanis Education, and we call on none other but LGD Desmond to do it for us.
Thank you, President Junior. Good evening, everyone. Fellow Kiwanians, SLPs, and guests. The topic is responsibilities of lieutenant governors and the sources Kiwani's international policies and procedures. 1, to develop a membership growth plan for the clubs in the division and supervise its implementation. 2, consult with and assist clubs in the division to ensure their timely submission of all required reports and payment of financial obligations. Required contact submit to all required reports and respond to communications in a timely manner. 5, organize the education of club officers and chairmen within the division with the assistance of a certified instructor to conduct the training. 6, have not less than quarterly divisional council meetings. And 7, finally, assist the Lieutenant Governor designate by attending with them on contact visits, providing them with copies of all reports filed with the district or Kiwanis International, and providing them with information on the strengths and weaknesses of clubs in the division. This is not exhaustive, but I've selected these. Thank you, President, and over to you.
And thank you, LGD.
Right.
Good. We'll move to the main event at this time, and we'll ask our own DP Chris Robinson to do the introduction of our guest speaker, Dr. Keith Brown. DP Chris?
Thank you, President Junior.
Yes.
Audience. Good evening. You know, today is one of those special days as a Kiwanian because, you know, you get the chance to perhaps revel a little bit, you know, in the life of someone who you may have influenced in some way or other or helped somewhere along the line. And so tonight we are very happy to welcome to our meeting and to address us tonight Dr. Kevin Brown, who was one of our Youth in Excellence Awardees. And he won in the category of academic and leadership back in 2010. So after doing his BSc at UTech, Kevin went on to Tokyo Institute of Technology to do his MSc and his PhD. He's now at a major research lab in the US doing research in networking technologies and future supercomputers. Now, this sounds very good, but I'm not too sure why the person who sent this out started him out at UTech, because I'm sure he went to some other school before UTech. And I will allow Dr. Brown to indicate, you know, that school at an appropriate time. But
okay.
Maroon and gold.
Yes. So Dr. Brown, you know, is an Argonne Scholar, a Walter Massey Fellowship in Mathematics and Computer Science Division at Argonne National Laboratory, a U.S. Department of Energy National Laboratory. At Argonne, Dr. Brown investigates new networking technologies and design for future supercomputers. He has worked on topics such as big data, performance analysis and visualization, and network simulation and modeling. Fellow Kiwanians, visitors, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that we have tonight a truly bright and scholarly Jamaican who has made it through the ranks and has made us all proud as Kiwanians. Let us welcome Dr. Brown this evening.
Okay, Dr. Brown, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that wonderful invitation, introduction, and thank you for the invitation. It is really a pleasure to be back here and to always engage with such an amazing group of people. Of course, I am a Wilmerian, maroon and gold, all the way.
Oh, no, I understand why that Calabar fella didn't want to mention it. Okay, that's nice.
And I will start sharing my screen once I get the permissions to do so. But just to get everyone warmed up, I'm going to give a very quick talk about my, I see someone else is sharing their screen. I'm going to give a very quick talk about my background for folks who may not have seen me present before. Then I'm going to talk about what a supercomputer is, what I'm doing with supercomputers, and how we can use supercomputers here in Jamaica, even though we don't have as many supercomputers. So without further ado, Here we're talking about supercomputing without supercomputers. Can you see my screen, everyone?
We are now.
All right,
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. So I have my picture here in case my video wasn't working. I'm an Argonne scholar at Argonne National Lab. And what this means, this position of the Argonne scholar, it means that I've graduated with a PhD. I'm not a postdoc and I'm not a staff yet. I'm somewhere in between. So I get, if you look at it in some way, I get the benefit of a staff in terms of the ability to hire postdoc and do my own research and to hire graduate students. And I also get the benefit of a postdoc in the sense of I get the supervision and the guidance I need to build myself as a researcher. And Walter Massey Fellow, it's a new fellowship that the Argonne National Laboratory started. And this is geared at young scientists who show promise in terms of research, but they also do a lot of work in community development and helping folks from minority groups. So I was the first recipient of the Walter Massey Fellowship at Argonne National Lab, and it's named after Walter Massey, Argonne National Lab's first Black director. And he went on to become director of the National Science Foundation in the US, chairman of the Bank of America, and also president emeritus of the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. So very big shoes to fill when I see the name Walter Massey Fellow after my name. My research is focused on supercomputing, networks, and understanding performance so we can make things faster. And my other activities are traveling and community service. And where traveling is concerned, I've been to 6 continents so far, and there's just one left on the bucket list to check off. So hopefully this year I'll get there. This picture here is just showing you some of the places I've gone so far. I was at Wolmer's, went to Digicel, and then after that I worked at Digicel for 4 years. Then I went to Japan, Tokyo Institute of Technology, get my master's and PhD. While I was in Japan, I went to Spain, the Barcelona Supercomputing Institute and Lawrence Livermore National Lab to do research visits and let me set my pointer here, laser, to do research visits and to do internships. And then since 2019, I've been at Argonne National Lab doing some really interesting things. Now, this is a quick outline of what I'm going to say. What's a supercomputer, why we need them, what I do, and then the last slide will tie up everything. Please feel free to stop me if you have any questions. I can't see the raised hands, but if someone just shouts out my name, I can always respond to you. So what is a supercomputer? This is not really a supercomputer. So you don't need the big S on it to become a supercomputer, but a supercomputer is you take this regular computer with processor, with memory, and with networking cards, and then you multiply that by 100 or 1,000. And so you have all of these in one place, and then you connect them using some super fast networking and software. So all of these thousands of computers work together like they're one computer. And you use them to solve one big problem, such as predicting the weather, developing new cures for cancer, helping to design airplanes. This right here is what a supercomputer looks like. This is one part of a supercomputer, actually. And each of these columns or bars you see here is basically this one cabinet the size of a refrigerator. And within each of these cabinets, you have maybe 20 to 40 individual compute nodes. And all of these cabinets are filled with compute nodes. You have 3 rows of them in our data center, and they're all working together to solve a similar problem. Polaris is the name of the supercomputer, latest one we have at Argonne. Just to give a scale of how fast these computers are. On the left, you see a regular smartphone. It can do 10 to the 9, that's 10 and 9 zeros, calculations per second. Regular smartphone. Laptop can do maybe 1,000 times faster, more calculation per second, so 3 more zeros. The current supercomputer we have at Argonne is even 1,000 times faster than the fastest laptop you'll have. And the next supercomputer we're building now, called Aurora, is again an order of, or 3 orders of magnitude faster. So you'll hear people talk about we're in the exascale era of supercomputing. And it's an exciting time to be here, and I'll tell you why in a second. Because we need supercomputers to do things that we can't do in the real world, and we need supercomputers to basically take society into a safer future. Supercomputers are used for a lot of simulations and other things, big data and so on, but I'm going to focus on simulations here. So we simulate things on these supercomputers, things that are too big, like we want to simulate the climate of the world. We use supercomputers for that. We want to simulate the expansion of the universe. We use supercomputers for that. We want to simulate, an airplane. Before Boeing or Airbus is going to build a jet, they first need to make sure that whatever they design will actually work before they invest millions of dollars building it. So we simulate the airplane, the engines, how air molecules move over the wing and through the different components to say, hey, will this work properly? And not just will it fly for more than 10 flights, more than 1,000 flights, more than 100 flights? So we don't want to really try to run these things in the real world. Let's build a plane and first see if it flies. No, we need to simulate that so we can ensure our investment is going to the right place. We simulate things that are too slow or too fast, again, like the expansion of the universe, really slow, but we can use supercomputers to do that. Things that are too fast is like you want to understand how molecules get coated on a particular surface, maybe to understand how that surface will change, in a given instance. We'll simulate on a supercomputer. And we also simulate things that are too expensive and too dangerous. You want to understand what goes on inside a nuclear reactor, but we don't want to send our students in there to take measurements. So we're simulating all of this to understand it. And we also simulate things that are too dangerous. So simulations allow us to safely investigate these things. And a lot of simulations were done during the COVID-19 pandemic to understand how these molecules move through masks, how they spread through enclosed areas, how they spread in the open areas, so we could inform, more intelligent policies of how to deal with the pandemic and how to treat people. So what I do is we're using supercomputers for all of these amazing things, and supercomputers are the fastest systems in the world. So I'm working with some cool people to make these supercomputers, make the fastest systems, and then we're trying to make them even faster. Because the faster these systems work is the faster we can develop cures for pandemics like COVID, is the faster we can develop cures for cancer. It's faster we can start to design new airplanes or new batteries for electric vehicles, so you can charge them in 10 minutes versus an hour or longer. So we're trying to make supercomputers even faster so that we can bring about breakthroughs in science and engineering in a lot of other areas. And specifically what I'm doing is I'm working on a supercomputer network, and I'm trying to make these networks much more efficient. So if you look at the network, road network in Kingston here, this is what, Saturday morning, maybe around 6 a.m. No traffic, all the green lines on the road. You look at the same road network at 4 p.m. on a Friday evening, you start seeing a lot of traffic and a lot of buildup. Supercomputer networks are similar to this. Different times of the day, depending on the work people are using them for, can have a lot of traffic. Traffic means slowdown. Slowdown means the jobs don't, the things that we're trying to simulate don't complete as quickly. So I'm trying to make the supercomputer networks smarter and be able to use them more efficiently so that we can do things faster on the systems. And one of the things I've been doing is I've been installing something like traffic lights and traffic lanes on these supercomputer networks. So we can ensure that, you know, high priority network traffic doesn't get slowed down by low priority traffic. If you had something like this on your network at home, if somebody's streaming YouTube in the next room, or they're watching, you know, some match or Netflix, that wouldn't slow down your conference call. And on the supercomputers, if we can do this, we can ensure that, you know, important jobs like finding a cure for cancer is never slowed down by somebody doing just some random experiments that is not really very inconsequential to what we're doing. I see a question. No.
Could you just keep the question until later on in the?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Can you still see my screen, or have I lost?
We are seeing it now. Climate prediction.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
So one of the things I'm also doing is not just trying to make today's supercomputer faster, but I'm trying to make new supercomputers for 2032 and beyond. Because in the same way that we're building the supercomputers today for the problems we have today, the problems we're going to be solving in the next decade is different. So if you think about areas like climate prediction or artificial intelligence, in the climate prediction era, we want to do a broader area of the predictions. We want to be more precise, you know, not a 10% error range, but something say if it's going to rain at 1 p.m., it's going to rain at 1 p.m. We want to be more accurate, for example. And we also want to make it so that you can understand exactly how things will change, not just in a city, not just in a block, but down to the road or the apartment number, lot number on that street. So that when digital flow or the government is going to install infrastructure, you know that 10 years from now, 30 years from now, the climate in that area, you know, it won't be submerged. We won't have hurricanes that's destroying the infrastructure we're building. So this is the type of prediction we need 10 years from now. And if you think of artificial intelligence, people, they're collecting information from everywhere. So we have more data to use. We have the entire internet of data. People are using new techniques to train these artificial intelligent models like ChatGPT and so on. And people are using artificial intelligence in other areas of science. They're using it to predict new compounds that will, you know, be able to withstand the heat from entering the Earth's atmosphere. Like, what do we use on the outside of rocket ships? They're using it to develop new chemicals that can be used to treat different diseases and so on. So artificial intelligence will be used in a lot more areas. So we need new supercomputers that can accommodate all of this new type of work that we're going to be doing. And we need to be able to build those now, because the process to building a supercomputer takes 3 to 5 years. So if we want it in 5 years from now, we need to start designing that right now. So what I'm doing, or one of the things I'm doing is one of the things I'm doing is I'm looking at the applications or the programs that are running on today's supercomputer, and I'm finding new ways to measure the performance, going back to performance analysis, and to understand why things are slow, to understand, you know, how the application will change in the next 10 years and what will the application need from the hardware or from the system that we're using. And then I'm also working with different companies like Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, Intel, NVIDIA, and so on, to find out, you know, how will the technologies change? What types of new chips, new networking technologies will be available in the future? And I'm combining those needs with those capabilities that we think will be around to find out how we should design these systems to make them useful for the science we'll need to do in the future. And I can't build this now because, again, you don't want to invest money in something unless you know it's going to work. So I'm using simulation. I'm using supercomputers to simulate future supercomputers. And in doing this work, we can design the next generation of supercomputers. And these supercomputers in the future will enable the next generation of scientific breakthroughs. They will enable smarter, more energy efficient cities that are safer and more resilient. They will enable better, more accurate climate predictions so that we can create safer societies and plan infrastructure better. And then to my final slide, I wanted to say that, we can all simulate a supercomputer because we're using simulation software. One of the things I'm developing right now, we're developing simulation software that you don't need a supercomputer to run. You can install that software on your laptop, and then you can simulate a supercomputer. Or you can go to Google or Amazon or Microsoft, use their clouds to run supercomputing applications. So you can do, and anyone here can do supercomputing research without needing to own a supercomputer. So in simulating supercomputers on your laptop, you can investigate new technologies. You can find out what designs are better or best for the type of work we need to do here in Jamaica. So if we were to actually start investing in supercomputers, we could already know, what we need to be building. And if you want to actually run supercomputing applications in a cloud or collaborating with other institutes, we can start planning the infrastructure or the development of infrastructure in our country. We can enable medical research that's specific to the needs we have in Jamaica. We can do collaborations with other institutes to leverage their resources and intellectual resource as well as computing resource, and so much more. So we could all simulate supercomputers, we could all do supercomputing research, and we can get the benefits of supercomputing research without actually having a supercomputer here locally. And that, I believe, is my last slide. I wanted to keep it fairly short and hopefully leave time for questions.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Brown. Are there any questions at this time? Are there any questions on the chat at this time? Any questions? Yes.
I wanted to jump in.
President Roger Rooms has his hand up.
Okay.
Okay.
Good evening, all. Hi, President Junior.
President, how are you?
I love the topic. I love the topic.
Yes.
Yeah, but I wish we could utilize it a little bit more for simple things and I would term it simple because of what supercomputers can do. Our infrastructure, primarily our roads. Why can't we have engineers use these devices to properly lay roads, lay pathways for the roads, instead of spelling and guessing? We can do simulations for proper drainage. We can do simulations for the amount of traffic, but yet still we have poor roads. What is going on?
I completely agree that the supercomputers can enable smarter, more effective deployment of infrastructure. Unfortunately, policies and politics is outside of my area of research, and I don't know why the powers that be haven't utilized the resources that we have so far, but it can definitely be used to help the deployment of infrastructure.
Yes, I had a question, Dr. Brown. You touched a bit on AI.
Yes.
I would love if you could say a little bit more about it, and also in relation to how AI impacts the development of EVs. In other words, for us to have EVs, and for them to what I really meant, not just EVs, but driverless. Could you make the link for me in terms of how that is, what is being done in that area, and how it all comes together?
I'll do my best, and my area of specialization is not necessarily development of AI, but I've heard some things that I'll try to share. So for driverless EVs, you basically, I think, one of the approach is.
Can you tell us what are EVs?
Oh, electric vehicles.
Okay.
Yes, very good question.
Yeah.
We are from different backgrounds here, and EVs could mean so many different things with the
That's right.
So I'll stop sharing for a second. So AI models, it's, if you think of an AI model as a person, it is a person who has been trained to understand certain things, basically observe their environment, and when they see certain patterns, they make a decision based on it. So driverless EV require artificial intelligence. Our AI models are artificial intelligence to basically observe the environment, see patterns, and identify objects, and be able to make decisions to safely navigate through that environment. To train this model, or to train this artificial intelligence, you have to give it a lot of data. In the same way you take a kid through different levels of schooling, you know, this is the alphabet, these are what objects look like, these are the colors, and then you build up on top of that so they can use all of that information to then go into a new situation and know how to make a decision in that situation. So why supercomputers are helpful in this area is because it allows us to feed even more information into training these models. It allows us to use different ways of training in a similar way, like if you want your child to learn math, you send him to math class. If you want him to learn, or him or her to learn English, send him to English. But every class they go to takes time to learn that thing. So the supercomputer allows us to do a lot more training in a lot more ways so that the models are more intelligent and they can make better decisions when you actually deploy them. So I hope I answered your question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Certainly.
Anybody
Well,
else
do we
have
have-
it? Go ahead.
Take
Go
on
ahead.
the-
Go ahead. Go ahead, President.
Oh, you, no, I was just asking.
Question with regards to the advent of artificial intelligence, was it coined through the invention of supercomputers, or it was supercomputers that coined artificial intelligence?
These two areas actually developed independently. Artificial intelligence has been around for at least 30 to 40 years. And there have been research that have been done in those areas for a very long time. And supercomputers have also been developed separately and independently for different problems. In fact, supercomputers were initially developed for like mathematical things, you know, calculating the orbit of rockets to the moon, and so on. And artificial intelligence was mainly there for, actually, I'm not even entirely sure, but it's decision making. It's in the last few years that we see this, and here are my hands. In the last few years, we see this convergence of AI and artificial intelligence. So we're just seeing, you know, supercomputing being used to help build better AI models, and artificial intelligence being used by supercomputers to help other scientific areas. Did that answer the question?
Well, yes, fair enough. Yes, yes.
Wonderful. I see a question in the chat. Okay, a question from LGD.
There is
Go
one
ahead.
question in the chat.
Yes.
That says, how useful are supercomputers in allowing us to see or predict far into the future? Or can they?
Super useful in the sense that it depends on what you're looking at. So climate prediction is a form of seeing into the future. You know, what will the climate be like 20, 30 years from now? That's one form of prediction. Predicting population growth and distribution across the planet is another area that supercomputers can help to predict the future. But you can only really predict a narrow area right now, because for every prediction, you have to create something like a model of that. In the way you create a mental model of a problem, you have to create a computational or mathematical model of that problem. These models are complicated, which is why we can't really create models of everything to say, you know, what will the world be like? And that's why people are using artificial intelligence, because for AI models, you don't need to create this mental model or this mental framework of how the world works. You just say, hey, look at things and then tell me how things will work in the future. So that's generally how useful supercomputers are, just in a very narrow area.
Thank you. I think I saw PE with his hand up. Oh yes, it's still up.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, good evening, Dr. Brown. How are you?
Good evening.
Okay, so my question is, there is great talk of having trucks like the 18-wheelers be more like electronic vehicles. And currently, they say Volvos and cars such of that nature that has the they have the driverless feature. You just have to keep your hands on it, on the wheel.
Yes.
Those cars tend to look for the line in the road to make a decision. And so if there is no marcation in the road, then the car tends to try to find it and then it goes crazy. Using that to measure the potential for 18-wheelers to be driverless, how will supercomputers help these driverless 18-wheelers to make proper decisions on the road, especially say in the event that there is some activity some miles ahead that was not initially programmed into the 18-wheeler at the outset of the journey?
Yeah, that is a very good question. And that's my way of saying I don't know the right answer to that. Supercomputers can help to train the models faster. These driverless vehicles will have AI software running on them, and this AI software is one that's observing the environment and making the decision. And we want them to be able to not just use the line, but be more intelligent and understand, you see this object, whether it is a person or construction, you know what that object is, you know how it usually behaves, and then you can make a decision based on that. And if you feel you don't have enough information to make the best decision, then you have like your exit condition to say, okay, the safest thing is to do nothing here, to stop and, you know, call for help. So the only way supercomputers can be useful there, in my understanding, is just helping us to train the models better about, you know, what objects are that it can encounter and how it can respond to these objects. So we pull more information from the internet. This is how it becomes what they would call a big data problem, because you no longer need to train it using 1,000 images of objects. You need to train it using 1 billion images of objects and images from different perspectives, and all of that you can't really do on your laptop. You need a very big system to accommodate all of that data. Did that answer the question?
It does, but then bear in mind that, say I am driving, say from maybe, maybe southeast New York, southeast the United States.
Yes.
I'm headed, say, New York, on 95 somewhere. And the accident is, it's telling me what exit, between what exits. It's not, there's no marcation on the road. There's an electronic script map that is telling me ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Would the vehicle then, do you think, since you probably said earlier you're not sure, you're only speculating, but do you think then the supercomputer would allow the vehicle to communicate with this electronic script map somehow to know? Because there's nothing on the road to say that there's an accident 20 miles ahead. But the electronic script map is flashing that at you every 5-10 miles.
Yes.
So you are prepared and you're aware that there probably is an exit, or if you're committed, then there's no exit, you just pray, So how do you think the truck, the 18-wheeler, not having a driver, how will that be handled? Because I know it's a big debate right now. How will that be?
It is. So one thought is, and this may not involve supercomputers, one thought is that the way the trucks operate, in the same way that you're able to get live updates from your environment using your eyes and using your ears, it can connect, as you say, with this electronic script map to pull real-time information, not just from cameras, but also from the internet and other systems that monitor the road. So you want to have everything kind of integrated so it can view its environment and pull information from other systems that view the environment.
I wish to add to that too as well, that there are already applications that enables us to know what is happening on the road. I remember using this app called Waze or Wise that will indicate to me that there's an accident ahead. It will indicate to me that there's police on the road or something like that. And so whenever you reach the accident, you will say, okay, accident is still happening. And it will alert everybody who's using that app that they must be on the lookout, that there's an accident out the road or there's a police on the road. And you will say, are you still seeing the police? And you indicate also that the police is still there. So there are things that are out there that enables us to use or integrate artificial intelligence along with supercomputer technologies.
Yes, I agree with that. Good point. Great point.
Yeah.
Doc, you mentioned something about some apps that we could download. But I don't think you actually spelled out which ones. I mean, maybe you could give us an idea, just so that maybe we could do some experimenting.
Sure. One of the software that is being used by Sandia National Laboratory, which is another US government research lab, is called SST, or Structural Simulation Toolkit. So that's something that can also be downloaded and run to simulate a supercomputer or a system. And SST is very robust, or it can do a lot of things. So they can simulate processors, they can simulate microelectronic things, and you can also simulate things as big as supercomputers. One of the software I use is called CODES, C-O-D-E-S. It's code designed for exascale storage. If you Google CODES Argon simulation, then you may find it. And it's one of the software we use to simulate supercomputing systems, and you can simulate different network topologies or connections, different routing algorithms and different things using those softwares.
Okay, you might not be involved in this aspect, but I'm just thinking, you speak a lot about supercomputers being helpful in predicting the future or seeing what is ahead. Is this being utilized in the investment world? To what extent is that?
I don't have any first-hand knowledge because Argonne National Lab is an open science research lab. So we focus on science and engineering. But I know I've seen a lot of people doing the similar things that I do, moving to the financial sector. So they're definitely using a lot of computation to crunch the numbers and predict, how the stocks will change and the different risks based on the environment and the changes in the environment.
And one last one from me. Could you explain a little bit? We hear the term algorithms a lot, and that they are used to allocate, for different situations. Could you just give us an idea of? Wow, somebody's mic is open. Anyway, could you give us an idea of what is an algorithm, and break it down for me in terms of? Please, can we close that mic? Wow. Yeah. Let me see if I can find that. Hello. Jeez.
Got it now?
Finally. I didn't find it, but it seems to have stopped. Yes, Doc.
Algorithms.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So algorithm, in my understanding, is just a general term for a set of a set of steps.
Right.
So
a sequence of events.
A sequence of events, exactly. So when we program computers, we usually tell it to do a sequence of things given the input. So you say, add two numbers, here's the algorithm to do it. First, you take the first number, then you take the second number, you run this command and you get an output. And then you just build on top of this and you keep going to make more complex algorithms to, calculate the change in pressure given the temperature and the cloud cover. So in essence, as you rightly said, the algorithm is just a sequence of steps, and computers use algorithms because computers are just machines that need instructions on what to do given different conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Did that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, wonderful.
There's a hand up. There's a hand up. Past Director Albert. From Cyber.
Go ahead. Unless it's up by mistake. Albert. Oh,
hello everyone. I'm here. Sorry, I just had to take a phone call. All right. So I wanted to ask you, Dr. Brown, about distributed computing. If you guys are actually into that, because I know these kinds of networks create the kind of power that a single, supercomputer might have, right? When it's distributed globally. And I know about like polling at home, SETI at home. And when we were going to the initial stages of the pandemic, they were using distributed computing to kind of simulate some kind of, some of these scenarios and how to fight back against the virus, right? Do you guys do that kind of thing as well?
Yes. So supercomputers do actually fall into the category of distributed computing. Because as I mentioned, we have a lot of individual compute nodes that are working together to solve the problem. The main difference between a supercomputer and a distributed system is just the proximity that things are to each other, how fast the network is. So you put them all in the same room and then give them a super fast network. So a lot of the work I do can fit into distributed computing, but I just haven't been applying it to a system that's distributed. I apply it to a system that's in one place. However, as I talk about, how the science will change and how the systems need to change, we have distributed science being done. So for example, when they're measuring, like evaluating the atmosphere and have instruments in the wild collecting data, you may have some sensors that are 2 miles away, or the physicist may have some equipment that's 200 miles away. And we want to be able to collect the data from their equipment. I need to keep my hand in frame. We want to collect the data from their equipment and then feed it into the supercomputer so that we can process it quicker. So now we have a distributed problem. Instruments in one city, supercomputer in another city. So we start working, or we start now applying some of the things folks have been using for SETI folding at home to move the data, to make sure things are resilient so that, if a line goes down, we can still maintain our connection, and to coordinate things better between the different sites. So in actuality, the future of supercomputing will be distributed in a sense that you will have very big systems in different places. And these big systems are going to be connected to big science instruments like accelerators, the thing they have in CERN, or things that are measuring neutrino atoms from space. And we'll be trying to connect all of these together in an integrated, distributed science infrastructure. And the US Department of Energy just actually announced a lot of funding for research in this space. And one of the work I'm doing in this space is we're proposing to simulate how these distributed infrastructure will work. Again, before they build them, we need to simulate a design for them. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, wonderful.
Yet, President Junior.
I have a question.
Is there a last one?
Yes, let us make that the last one. Quickly.
Is that my question?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes,
I'm just saying, thank you, Dr. Brown, but how close to reality have you found your simulations?
We extremely close. So one of the things is when we build these models of, or at least we build a computational representation of the environment, we first try to validate this model or this representation. So we measure different things in the real world, then we measure similar things in the simulation and tune the simulation and reconfigure it until it's really accurate. And then once we can make sure all the pieces are accurate, that's when we start expanding and running these bigger simulations of the bigger phenomena. So if it's not accurate, then it would be really useless to us. So we do try our best to make sure it's very accurate. And it's never going to be perfect, but we do our best to iterate and improve on it over time.
Or what's the kind of margin of error?
Oh, the margin of error will usually vary based on the type of work you're doing. So sometimes a margin of error of 1 or 2% is tolerable. Other time, a margin of error of up to 20% may also be tolerable. In a similar way, when they're predicting the weather, what they will use is not just one simulation, but they use a number of, say, 15 or 20 simulations. And each of these simulations may show the hurricane going in different paths over time. And as you extend the time, they start varying more widely, which is why you see, the path is getting bigger in the prediction. So we have some similar problems here where we simulate different things and the errors may look different. So we try to run the simulation in different ways and then have an average of what the prediction may be.
Thank you.
Yes.
Certainly.
Well, if there are no more questions, thank you very much, Dr. Brown. It has been quite interesting. I'm sure, as I like to say, there are more questions than answers at this point. Thank you for giving us this very interesting talk, you know.
Thanks
So
for having me.
yes, very, very much. We enjoyed it and we learned quite a bit from it. Yes, yes.
I see at some point that Dr. Brown had some connection with our club in former years in terms of the Youth in Excellence program.
Right.
Am I correct?
I think, yeah, I saw it, yes. Yes, yes,
That was stated on the flyer, Raleigh.
Okay.
Okay.
It kind of sticks out in my mind that, you know, we have to be proud that we are part of the person who is speaking with us tonight.
Right.
And my question to Dr. Brown and all this research that he's doing, how do he see himself helping Jamaica as his home? I know that he's impacting the world now, but in terms of Jamaica, is there a role that he sees himself playing sometime in the future?
Certainly. I've always told people, even when I interviewed for my job at Argonne, that my long-term goal is to come back to Jamaica and work here using the knowledge and the connections that I've built over the years.
Yeah.
In the immediate term, I'm trying to start different research programs where young students can get their feet wet and expand their network and find opportunities similar to what I have had. And if you know anyone who is interested in my work in research or in anything that I can help with, feel free to forward my email to them and I'd be happy to have a chat and discuss it.
Right.
Thank you very much for that. I think we'll send you an application form for membership also.
Yes. And the email is on the screen right now.
Thank you. Proud of you, sir.
Thank you again, PDT. Okay, so we'll move right into our vote of thanks. And we'll ask DP Louis Spence from the Kiwanis Club of Cyber Connect to do that first. DP Louis?
Lloyd.
Yes, hi.
Thank you for the, thank you. Lloyd, you're right.
I'm here. Good evening, fellow Kiwanians and guests. It is my pleasure to have been asked to present the vote of thanks to our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Kevin Brown. When I saw the title, Argonne Scholar, boy, I was interested in the meaning of what was an Argonne Scholar. So I had to do a little research.
Okay.
And I learned that Argonne is a place where talented scientists and engineers work together to answer the biggest questions facing humanity, from how to obtain affordable clean energy to protecting ourselves and our environment. Dr. Brown, your message this evening on supercomputers and how it can be used was indeed interesting and informative. And your talent in this field is matchless. We appreciate the fact that this supercomputer will help to cure cancer, enable more accurate climate prediction, population growth. We are proud of you and the path that you have decided to take, even though you might not make any money in Jamaica, as this can only serve humanity and help us live better lives in the future. Let me thank you again on behalf of the members of both clubs for taking the time out of your schedule to share with us this evening. Indeed, it was very interesting and very knowledgeable. Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, DP Lloyd. Dr. Brown, you see on the screen a certificate here in recognition of your contribution. So tonight, we will definitely find some way as soon as possible to get it to you, right? And thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that is that. So we'll move to our Sarge tonight. Sarge, are you on at this time? He wants Zuri, Sarge.
I don't think he's on, President.
He's not on.
We have just maybe a blanket check fine.
So then, for this wonderful talk tonight, we will just levy a blanket fine of, say, $200 to all those who all those who got all this knowledge. That's not
our members.
Yeah, sorry, it should be our members. Thank you, DP. All right, so $200 for each for our members. Okay, we move then to notices and announcements in an interclubbing opportunity.
Thank you.
First, the LG Willie first. You're on the LG Willie.
Thank you, President. President, if
Yes,
it's a
sir.
joint meeting, you should ask Cyber Connect if they
First.
have a Sarge also for their members.
Okay, sorry, I missed that. So is there a Sarge on for Cyber Connect at this time?
No, President, not at this time, sir.
Okay, good. So we'll move now to Secretary Willie for our notices and announcement and interclubbing opportunity. Thereafter, we'll move to DP Adrian White from Cyber Connect.
Thank you, President Junior. First of all, let me also echo the sentiments already expressed and thank Kevin for what I found a very intriguing and stimulating presentation.
Yes.
I had the pleasure of meeting up with Kevin about a week and a half ago, so it was very interesting seeing this, how this young man has grown up since he left Woolmer. As to notices and announcements, just a reminder, fundraising committee meeting, 2nd of March, Thursday coming, have to wrap up the annual Christmas ball and discuss the upcoming Barbie Pride on May 26th, as well as the benefit performance in National Dance Theatre on Saturday 29th. This meeting will be held at my house at 6 p.m. That's Thursday coming.
Okay.
This weekend is CKI District Convention, and on Saturday, they will be having their Kiwanis family luncheon. Anybody interested in going down to Runaway Bay, being held at Carlipole Hotel and Spa. Cost for lunch is $4,500. Just a reminder, our board meeting on March the 6th. Just a plug for the North St. Andrews Solar Power System Sensational Raffle. That's on. I have a number of books that they've left with me. Each book contains 10 tickets, and the cost of each ticket is $500. For every ticket you sell, Kiwanis Club of Kingston will retain $250. Just a notice regarding the membership workshop, creating goals, empowering each other, staying connected. That's been held on March 18th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And lastly, the Eastern Canada and the Caribbean District is held in Quebec, Canada. Early bird registration is closed. I believe there may possibly be a further extension. But the early bird registration was 260 Canadian. The late registration was $400 Canadian.
Okay.
Insofar as interclubbing opportunities, I want to received one invitation that is from North St. Andrew to the meeting on Thursday at 6:30. Those are the announcements and in the clubbing opportunities. President Junior, you may want to ask Secretary DP Adrian for any other announcements.
Okay. Second, VP, Adrian.
Good evening, fellow Kiwanians and guests. All right, so from the Kiwanis Club of Cyber Connect, we have our note events coming up. Our members meeting will be on the 8th, as well as we invite everyone to participate in our joint meeting on the 28th of March, which will be our Kiwanis Education Quiz meeting with the Kiwanis Club of Eastern St. Andrew. Additional note, for Division 23 East, we'll be having the Divisional Council meeting will be on the 26th. And we have 2 projects coming up for March, the soup kitchen on the 29th and our crib donation to be date to be finalized. However, we invite everyone, you can follow us on our tree and it's posted in the chat to keep abreast of our events, meetings, and just our general information.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, President.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so we'll now move to our thought for the week with VP Stewie.
Thank you, President Junior.
Yes.
It's 2 short ones. And take it how you want to take it. This one says,
give us how you're giving us.
Yeah. This one says, some people don't aim high and miss. They simply aim low and hit. And my other one is, a vision without a plan is a hallucination. And that's my 2 thoughts.
And those are 2 good thoughts. Okay. We seem to have come to the end of this meeting at this time. President, do you have anything to say at this time?
Thank you, President. I thank everybody for coming out. I hope you're all enriched with the knowledge of supercomputing and the possibilities that it can create for us. I hope we can put our minds together and apply it in our Kiwanis clubs for the betterment of the children of the world. Have a good evening, everybody, and thank you for hosting us.
And you do have a good evening as well. And to all that are on with us tonight, let us just, at this time, if there's nothing else, to our toast to Kiwanis International and Friendly Jamaica. Kiwanis International and Friendly Jamaica. At this time, we'll terminate this meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston and Cyber Connect. Good night, everyone. Have a good night.
Night.
Good. All right. Thank you all for coming, and we sure